I'm a mama's boy, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm her youngest child, only son, youngest of 3, with my sisters 12 and 14 years older than me. Most of what I remember of my childhood is of the 2 of us together. I saw her handle being a single parent, providing me with anything I needed with only one income. I saw her navigate through the eventual divorce to my father, and without me knowing it, a financial bankruptcy. She was my protector, provider, comfort, my home. Seeing all she had to do as a single mother, I made myself the best little boy I could be. I didn't get into much trouble, never talked back, and did what I was told, sometimes to a fault. I never gave her any reason to be concerned about me. At least not until I told her I was gay. The first time I came out to her, that's right, the first time, was in 1999 during my sophomore year of college. I was home for a visit and anxiously waited for her to get home from work. I asked her to sit down and somehow found the courage to say, "Mom, I'm gay." Given my Christian upbringing, which included Monday choir practices, Wednesday Bible studies, and Sunday morning services for as long as I could remember, I was expecting a very dramatic response. With almost no discernible change to her posture, breath, or expression, she said calmly, "Why do you think you're gay?" What followed were questions I wasn't prepared to answer, so I did what I'd done most of my childhood. I didn't speak my truth. I was too afraid of what other questions might come out if I answered even one. A space was created between us that day, one that would widen over 2 decades. Aided by the safety of distance, college allowed me to live my life the way I wanted to live it without having to explain anything to her. I graduate college and transition into the professional workforce as an actor, traveling around the country and world. It was the perfect alibi for not going home. I'd maintained that safety of distance by moving to New York City in 2006. Months into my move, I meet a man that I'd been in a relationship with for over a year, and for the first time in my adult life, I tell my mom. Shortly after speaking the words, "I'm dating someone and his name is Jason," her response was, "Oh, Antuan." Immediately followed by her plugging in a respiratory machine. The next few months were full of emails of Bible verses to read, her asking what she'd done for this to happen, and urging me to pray for deliverance from the confusion she thought I had as a result of childhood sexual abuse. It was emotionally exhausting and painful. She'd even go so far as to ask me not to use Jason's name in conversation with her. She saw it as a sign of disrespect. Being a good mama's boy, my impulse and action was to agree with her. I hung up the phone and immediately felt a rush of rage. I felt rage at her demand, rage at feeling like a child and not an adult, rage at once again not speaking my truth, and rage at not defending my relationship. About a year later, during one of our infrequent calls, she noticed I was upset. I told her Jason had broken up with me. I was heartbroken. My mom couldn't bring herself to comfort me. In a powerful, courageous, and vulnerable act of love for myself, I asked her one question. "Will you ever want to know anything about my personal life?" No. That was her answer. I wasn't surprised. Every word and action before that moment was evidence. I felt I had lost the first home I'd ever known. There was an emptiness in my stomach as I asked the question because I knew I wouldn't be the same once I spoke it. I also knew I couldn't be who I wanted to be until I heard her answer. Her truth, as painful as it was to hear, was the only thing that could propel me to fully live my own. I'd hang up the phone, leave my then Harlem apartment, and walk to the 110th Street entrance of Central Park. For the next hour or so, I walked from 110th Street to 69th Street, listening to the gospel duo Mary Mary and crying. There was a deep pain felt during that walk as I remembered how immovable she had been over the years. She knew I'd experienced pain at a young age. I knew what it was for the world to hate me, a world who wouldn't or didn't take the time to get to know my heart, my spirit. That would all pale in comparison as I remembered one sentence she screamed at me during a fit of rage, pain, and embarrassment. She was in the middle of a rant, and being in awe of what I was hearing, I scoffed over the phone. She took that to me, and I was laughing at her. With a tongue sharper than the volcanic glass obsidian, she spewed the words, "It's because of my prayers God hasn't struck you dead." During that walk, I cried because I knew there were limitations to the love she'd give. And I cried because I believed there would come a day when one of us would leave this earth before she'd ever meet a man I'd love. That conversation that filled me with fear and sadness would shift into a resolve. I would no longer live my life for her acceptance, nor would I omit the meaningful parts out of fear would upset her. I would have to create an emotional boundary within myself where she was concerned, something I'd never done before. The most impactful tool for that to happen was therapy, where I tend to the wounds and scars that accumulated over the years from sexual and emotional abuse. I would not only discover, but admit I didn't believe I was worthy of love, and I didn't know how to love myself. My self-value was so woven into external sources, I didn't know who I was without them. I'd eventually shed a mindset that my family, friends, and successes were my primary sources of strength, courage, and value. I came to learn my strength, courage, and value started with me. Until I believed it, no one and nothing else could make me believe it. It was incredibly empowering because for the first time in my life, I was not afraid of being alone. Therapy allowed me to see I'd outgrown needing her to be my protector, provider, comfort, my home. I could be my protector, provider, comfort, and home. I stopped expecting her to be who I wanted her to be and loved her for who she was and where she was emotionally. Having boundaries gave me the space I needed to grow into who I needed to be. They gave me the space to heal and trust myself. Creating boundaries for ourselves isn't about pushing someone away and causing them pain. It is an opportunity for us to build the support we need from within and then choose who will be additional support. You are enough. The love you have for yourself is enough.